So life's road isn't always smooth. Sometimes we hit bumps like regrets, disappointments, or even tragedies. It happens to all of us. And when it does, it's super tempting to get stuck looking in the rearview mirror, right? But here's the thing. If you don't want to stay stuck, you've got to shift your focus and look ahead. But before we can really move forward, we've got a pit stop to make. And that's called grief. I know, it's really not the most fun topic, but it is important. Grief is what we feel after a big loss. Grief, what does it do to us? It arrives like an unexpected storm, shakes us to the core, leaving us drenched in feelings we never even knew we had. It shows up uninvited, it can consume us in a flood of emotions, and slowly it begins to change us, often in ways we couldn't have predicted. You still have control over how and when you grieve. You can take it one step at a time, allowing yourself to feel, to rest, and to heal at your own pace. Grieving doesn't need to be a straight path or something to rush through. It really is yours to navigate.
When life gets you down, that's when sadness takes over. This is sadness. With a caring touch and a kind heart, sadness leaps into action to let you... I said sadness leaps into action. Sadness? Oh, sadness.
Grief isn't just about death. There are these things called non-death losses, too. The two big types of non-death grief are disenfranchised grief, which is grief that society doesn't really acknowledge, and ambiguous loss, which is grief without a clear sense of closure. Things like losing a job, going through a divorce, sending your kid off to college, dealing with Alzheimer's in a loved one, or even coping with addiction. All these things can bring up real grief. So whether it's a person, a situation, or even a dream we've lost, we need to acknowledge and work through it before we can keep cruising ahead in life.
I have some very important news about our favorite mini horse, Lil Sebastian.
Little Sebastian!
He died last night. But we can take comfort in the fact that he's in heaven now, doing the two things he loves doing the most, eating carrots and urinating freely.
Grief is a totally normal response to loss, whether it's a person, a thing, or even an experience. Grieving is super important because it helps us free up all that emotional energy that's tied to what we've lost. Once we do that, we can start to reinvest that energy into new things in our lives. But until we've worked through grief, it's tough to move forward. It's like part of us is still stuck in the past. Now, grieving doesn't mean forgetting or being stuck in endless tears. In fact, healthy grieving is all about getting to a place where you can remember your loss with a sense of peace instead of sharp pain.
I go through the 4 stages of grief every time I have to get out of bed.
Don't you mean 5 stages?
No, I never accept it.
In John chapter 11, Jesus encounters 2 grieving sisters, Martha and Mary. If you look at the text closely, both of them come to him with the same heartfelt plea. But interestingly, Jesus responds to each of them in different ways. With Martha, Jesus brings a message of hope. His words lift her spirits and remind her of the hope found in faith. On the other hand, when Mary approaches him, she says the same thing as Martha. Lord, if you'd been here, my brother would not have died. The Bible tells us that Jesus saw her weeping and was deeply moved in spirit. Then, in the shortest verse of the entire Bible, it simply states, Jesus wept. We are not alone in our grief or without hope. God's word provides a firm foundation and a source of encouragement. Plus, we have God's presence and the support of His people to comfort us through tough times. With His word, His spirit, and His community, the Lord carries our burdens of grief and walks alongside us every day. Everyone's grief looks a little different. It can affect our thoughts, feelings, and even our bodies. Some days it may feel like we're on a roller coaster of emotions, and we might even worry we're losing it. A lot of people fear that if they face their grief head-on, they'll totally be overwhelmed. But here's the thing, it's very unlikely you'll get swept away by it. and letting others help you along the way is a great way to keep your balance. There's a big myth about grief. You can't just sit around and wait for time to heal everything. You need to pivot, because healthy grieving is actually an active process, and there's work to be done. Think of it like a series of tasks to check off, though not necessarily in any order. Here's some of the things you'll need to tackle. Accepting that the loss is final. Acknowledging and expressing all of the feelings that come with it. Adjusting to life without that person, object, or experience. And finally, saying goodbye and finding peace with the loss. It's all about balance. You've got to juggle the time you spend actively grieving with just living your everyday life. That means balancing time with others and time alone, asking for help when you need it, and taking care of yourself too. Focusing too much time on just one side of things can throw you off track.
Now, a little death anxiety is normal. You can expect to go through 5 stages. The first is denial.
No way, because I'm not dying.
Second is anger.
Why, you little...
After that comes fear.
What's after fear? What's after fear?
Bargaining.
Doc, you gotta get me out of this. I'll make it worth your while.
Finally, acceptance.
Well, we all gotta go sometime.
Mr. Simpson, your progress astounds me. I should leave you two alone. Perhaps this pamphlet will be helpful. Now...